Imagine waking up and realizing your bank account is missing $1.9 billion. But you aren't a normal person. You are Europe's most valuable financial technology company. You process payments for massive airlines, global retailers, and millions of consumers. You are worth $24 billion. You are the pride of the German economy. But there's just one massive problem. The money doesn't exist. It never did. This is the story of Wirecard, a company that spent 20 years forging documents, silencing journalists, and using phantom companies in Asia to pull off the biggest accounting fraud in European history. And the craziest part, the CEO was treated like a genius, while the guy who actually exposed the fraud was investigated by the police. Let's open the ledger. To understand how you fake $2 billion, you have to understand where Wirecard came from. Founded in 1999 in Munich, Germany, Wirecard wasn't processing payments for Amazon or Apple. In the early days, their biggest clients were pornography websites and offshore gambling rings. It was a highly profitable, highly shadowy business. Traditional banks didn't want to touch it, so Wirecard processed the transactions and took a massive cut. Enter Markus Braun. Braun took over as CEO in 2002. He had a PhD, wore black turtlenecks like Steve Jobs, and spoke in complex buzzwords about the future of artificial intelligence. Braun wanted to wash away Wirecard's dirty origins and turn it into a respectable global tech giant. And for over a decade, it looked like he succeeded. By 2018, Wirecard was processing tens of billions of dollars. They replaced Commerzbank, a 150-year-old traditional bank, in Germany's prestigious DAX 30 index. Markus Braun was officially a billionaire. His right-hand man, the mysterious chief operating officer Jan Marsalek, was flying on private jets and hosting lavish parties. But financial analysts looking closely at Wirecard's balance sheet noticed something bizarre. The numbers literally did not make sense. Here is the exact accounting trick Wirecard used to fool the world. Wirecard claimed they were expanding rapidly into Asia, but because they didn't have the legal banking licenses to operate in countries like the Philippines or the UAE, they claimed they were using third-party acquirers, or TPAs. In theory, a TPA is a local partner that processes the payment on Wirecard's behalf and gives Wirecard a cut of the profit. Wirecard told their auditors at EY that these Asian TPAs were generating half of the company's entire global revenue and almost 100% of its profit. There was just one tiny issue. The TPAs were basically ghost companies. When journalists later visited the addresses of these supposed multi-million-dollar Asian partners, they didn't find sprawling tech campuses. They found a retired Siemens house in Manila. They found an empty desk in a shared workspace in Dubai. So how did they fake the revenue? It's a forensic accounting technique called round tripping. Imagine I hand you $20. You hand it to a friend. That friend buys a $20 pencil from my business. I still only have 20 bucks. But on my accounting ledger, I just wrote down that I made a $20 sale. Wirecard took real money they borrowed from investors, quietly funneled it to these fake shell companies in Asia, and then had those companies pay Wirecard back as fake business revenue. To the auditors at EY, the bank accounts looked full, and the revenue looked real, but the profits were entirely fabricated. For years, a small group of short sellers and one incredibly stubborn journalist named Dan McCrum from the Financial Times tried to warn the world. McCrum started publishing a series of articles called House of Wirecard, exposing the fake companies. But Wirecard didn't back down. They went on the offensive. They hired elite hackers to spearfish the journalists. They hired private investigators to follow short sellers in London. And incredibly, the German financial regulator, BaFin, actually sided with Wirecard. Instead of investigating the multi-billion-dollar corporation, BaFin launched a criminal investigation into the journalists, accusing them of stock manipulation. They even took the unprecedented step of banning short selling of Wirecard stock to protect the company. But you can only fake the math for so long. By early 2020, under massive public pressure, Wirecard was forced to hire a different auditor, KPMG, to do a special forensic investigation. KPMG asked Wirecard for the bank statements proving the Asian TPA money existed. Specifically, they wanted to see the 1.9 billion euros supposedly sitting in two banks in the Philippines, BDO and BPI. For months, Wirecard executives stalled. They provided forged documents. They claimed the Filipino bankers wouldn't answer the phone. Finally, in June 2020, the truth broke the dam. Both Philippine banks issued public statements. They didn't hold 1.9 billion euros for Wirecard. In fact, Wirecard wasn't even their client. The letters Wirecard gave their auditors were cheap forgeries. The money did not exist. The collapse was absolute and immediate. On June 18th, 2020, Wirecard's stock price fell 60% in a single day. A few days later, they filed for insolvency, owing creditors nearly $4 billion. Markus Braun, the visionary CEO who claimed to be building the future of finance, was arrested in Munich wearing a tracksuit. But the chief operating officer, Jan Marsalek, the architect of the Asian ghost companies, had a different plan. Telling his colleagues he was going to the Philippines to find the missing money, Marsalek instead boarded a private jet to Belarus. From there, he vanished into Russia. Today he remains one of Interpol's most wanted fugitives, with intelligence agencies suspecting he had deep ties to Russian state security for years. The Wirecard scandal isn't just a story about greedy executives. It's a terrifying look at how the system's built to protect us. The auditors, the regulators, the politicians can be blinded by national pride and a rising stock price. Ernst Young signed off on fake accounts for a decade. The German regulators attacked the whistleblowers, and billions of dollars in pension funds and retail investments were wiped out. When a company claims to have a money printing machine that no one else can understand, they usually don't. They just have a really good eraser. If you want to understand exactly how the next massive corporate fraud will happen, hit the subscribe button. We expose the ledgers every single week. See you in the next investigation.